In this video, Rob and I tell you not to start a business. Instead, we talk about 5 hobbies you can start today to start making some money, even if you're retired. You got to see number 3 and number 5. They're crazy. We'll see you inside. So, Rob, here it is. Do not start a business, start a hobby,
Hmm.
and a hobby that makes you money.
Yeah.
It is taking that approach that could
Yeah.
be the thing that saves your business.
Yeah.
What say you,
Yeah.
sir?
Now that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, it's right up, I was literally just talking to a client about this the other day. Um, but for the listeners' view, because we were talking a little bit off camera, tell them a little bit about the story of where that quote came from, and then I'll add a little bit of my flavor to it.
This quote, everybody, is so counter to what we have been taught and the things that we've heard and the things that VCs, they say that's a hobby. That's not a business. The IRS, that's a hobby. It's not a business. But it came from a talk that Alex Hermosi was having with the founder and owner of ButcherBox. And he said it just like that. And it made me stand straight up because it was so what you have not been taught. But the point
Hmm.
was when he said, because when you start a business, you will put all of these bells and whistles, and I'm paraphrasing here, bells and whistles, and you'll have managers over people. And next thing you got a whole bunch of people, and then you start coming in and getting ads and people to run the ads and all that kind of stuff. He said, but a hobby, well,
Hmm.
that's just something you do. Now, you want a hobby that pays you well.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And I mean, I was like I said, I was talking to a client the other day, and I just counted her read cash flow quadrant, right? And explained to her Robert Kiyosaki distinction because
Your mic is going in and out.
it just went in and out.
Mhm.
How we feeling now? How's it sounding?
Okay, good. It was crackling.
All right, good, good. All right, so there was like I was saying that we were talking through Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant. And one of the interesting things about that book, because in the book I talk about there's 4 different ways to make money. Basically, make money as an employee, you make money as a small business owner, you make money as a big business owner, you make money as an investor. And then everything on the left side, employee, small business owner, you're really trading time for dollars, right? As an employee, you trade time for little dollars. As a small business owner, aka a professional or somebody that gets paid very well for your time, you trade time for big dollars, but you still trading time for dollars, right? Even if you make an NFL money, you're still trading time for dollars,
Mhm.
right? Um, but with the big business side, the whole idea is that you are creating systems. You're creating these things that make money while you sleep. Now, the key thing that I realized, and I was talking to my client about this, and it vibes exactly with what Alex Hormozy was saying, was the the biggest thing that you've got to realize when you're trying to create a big business, and this is what I struggle with. This is how, for the longest, where I was struggling because I was constantly trying to build these big systems. And so I would have people and I would have, you know, meetings and all this stuff, even though the money wasn't coming in to substantiate those things. But we were building for the future. We were preparing for the future. But the problem is in business, until you figure out product market fit, until you figure out a market demand that requires a big business, your business or your hobby, if you would, is building the system. It's not actually business. And it doesn't make you money. It costs you money. Right. And I was just thinking about this the other day because, my journey, like I said, I went and I spent a ton of time trying to build systems that would then make money if they work. Right. But what I was doing was things that I was doing kind of ad hoc a la carte and putting them into this system over here, but the system hadn't proven its effectiveness. Like you said, it was a hobby, but it wasn't paying no money. It wasn't making no money yet. And I really feel like I experienced this journey, right? This was what was given to me to actually help entrepreneurs understand what the difference is, right? Because I quit a job, started a business, did all the things, had, part-time jobs, all the different things over years trying to get this off the ground, and was able to make 6 figures and then multiple 6 figures, but still didn't get the system going. I built a system, and it started with my nonprofit when I built a system for a demand center that was there already. And I only built the team as much as the demand required. And then when the demand required it, then I built a team and the team got running and we made everything happen. And I continued building the team. It's kind of the opposite of the Kevin Costner, right? Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. It's like, no, when they come, build it. Right. And to that point, start a hobby that makes money. It'll turn into a business if you're business minded.
Mm,
Right. Because it's a hobby, it's not your main thing. And because it's not your main thing, it can never get all of your time. And because it can never get all of your time, it'll force you to figure out how to get it to grow without needing more of you.
that's exactly what they said. He says he had, read the 4 Hour Work Week, of course, and he was trying to figure out a thing that he could do that was kind of a side hookup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I talk about and do this kind of stuff all the time. If you look at, my other channel,
Mm-hmm.
I talk
Mm-hmm.
about this, right? And that leads me to this this idea that I've been having, and it just came to me literally on something I spied. I spied something that I think is going to this I okay. We talk about getting to $10,000 a month, right? But this one right here, man, I think this is so game changer. This could get people past that $10,000 a month thing. Now, here it is. I'm gonna tell you first, and then if y'all want to go deeper into this, just put some information into the field. Say, tell me more, and then we'll send you off the exact thing that it is. But I'm gonna give you an overview. All right, so I have noticed that nobody's using Google. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Google is going down. Google, in my opinion, is going down by way of Blockbuster. Now,
Mm, interesting.
not Alphabet, because they got other things going on, but search engine searching. They
Mm-hmm.
make billions of dollars off of that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Billions. It was the thing that started everything else. Okay. Now,
Mm-hmm.
we use answer engines now, right? We're
Instead
going
of search
to,
engines,
yeah,
yeah.
we're going to Perplexity. I was teaching on Perplexity last week, and then when I'm teaching, I end up talking to them a little bit later in the week, and they were like, "Man, I don't even use Google anymore. All I use is Perplexity." So Perplexity is a combination search answer engine, but it gives us
Mm-hmm.
answers. It doesn't serve us up ads. Now I'm going to give y'all the idea that I just noticed. And I'm looking at that because I mean, that is when you think about what people are searching for, Google is telling you, hey, they're searching for this because we know this. You build a whole business around that, whether it is your blogging business, your article writing business, your affiliate business, all these different things based on here's what they're searching for. Like you said earlier, here's where people are,
Right.
right? They have
Where there's
demonstrated they
demand.
have an issue, pain, question, whatever.
Mhm.
So many things are banking on that. Now, when answer engines come along, the Perplexities, the Chat GPTs, Claude Sonnets, all that, right? Now you're just going in going, hey, how do I do this? And it goes, okay. And it gives it to you. And they say, give me $20 a month. Now
Mm-hmm.
they're losing money hand over fist, but they're doing something bigger. So I noticed the other day, watch this everybody. Now listen, I don't mean to, string you along. However, we got I'm creating a checklist for this stuff, right? A download that you can have. We'll put it in the description field for you. But here it is. I'm gonna give it to you. So I noticed the other day I was on Perplexity and I was like, hey, what's that little I? That little I said how many people had viewed a particular story. Now, soon as you tell me somebody viewed something that much, you have told me where the market might be.
There you go.
Your point. They viewed it, and they happened to be talking about in this particular case. I was looking at this prompt engineering paper that came out. Some Google scientist or whatever created the paper says here, and people are like going nuts over it. So I go in there. I said this thing has been viewed 10,000 like 900 some odd times. It was a little button viewed. Well, views for a marketer are like fish to a fisherman. We go, the fish are over there. Now,
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people are understanding the impact of that, but so I'm going to give you the business to build around that. Here it is.
Mhm.
It's going to be the same kind of business you would build with search. You would see how many people viewed it. Now, I'm going to tell you what I did, and you can steal it. So I go in and I go, okay, people viewed this. So I go into another search engine. I think I use DeepSeek for this one. And I says, hey, based on this, and I just copy and pasted it based on what people are searching for, based on the content of the article, da 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 da. What kind of people, or in other words, what audience would be
Mm,
interested in that? Now,
mhm.
everybody out there, if you're understanding where I'm getting ready to go with this, even though you might see this later, in the comment says, I know where you were getting ready to go with it. Put in there where you think I was getting ready to go with it. And if I look at the timestamp and you might win something. Just saying. All right. So I don't know. So anyway, it said it gave me a long, beautiful list of who might be interested. So now you said it earlier. Don't build the business until you know that there's a market. And I've been saying that like standing on milk crates.
Yeah. But it's a
Don't
hard
build a
thing. The
business
thing that
until
so
you
many
know the
people,
market.
the thing that so many people fall into, and I mean, myself personally, same thing. We believe that there's a market. We get a little bit of inkling, right? You get a little bit, you get something that sells once or twice, or you
Mhm.
get somebody that asks for it or whatever, and you're like, there's a
Right.
market here.
Right.
I can just do the things right. And I mean, I've seen so many of these stories. You talked about Alex Hormozy and the guy from Butcher
Yeah.
Box. I
Yeah.
mean, Myron Golden, same thing. Like just so many people. When you actually listen to to the narrative, when you actually listen to what the stuff underneath all of the numbers and the glitz and the glam, when you
Hmm.
listen to the story of how
Hmm.
it started, every one of these businesses, when you hear that it started, you don't hear it started because I did a lot of ads or because I did a lot of. You hear that they did this thing that worked. People just liked it. They didn't even know why people liked it. It just
Hmm.
people loved it. They went after it and they were able to build it organically
Hmm.
to the point where they were like, how can I do more of this? Because I'm already maxed out with what I can do right now. And I think that key is such a profound, important thing for entrepreneurship. Necessity being the mother of invention. One of the most beautiful things you can have is so much demand that you can't fulfill it, so
Yeah.
that it forces you to figure out how to build a system to fulfill it.
Yeah.
Instead of what so many entrepreneurs deal with, which is not having enough demand and trying to build a system for something that doesn't have any demand already. That
Correct.
thing don't need no system. It just
Correct.
needs you to do it.
I've been advising all of my entrepreneurs that I coach, and it's a lot of them right now. I
Mm-hmm.
say to them, like I got one right now. I'm looking at her. We were on Messenger. I actually took some advice from Ty Lopez from one of his videos. Right now, I know how you
Mm-hmm.
feel. You know, everybody felt, but he's back on his grind. He's
Yeah.
starting
I
like
mean,
all
I've
over
always been
again.
a Ty Lopez fan. Like,
So he says every week, get on and
but
talk with three or four entrepreneurs. Just do it. He said, just kind of feel where they're at, and you kind of sharpen your tool set and all that kind of stuff. So I've been doing that, right? Just literally going on and just, hey, how's it going? You still busy? Stuff like that. Where you still? So was talking
mm-hmm.
to one, and she said, hey, everything's going good. I'm working a job and a business. And then she says, I'm just trying to think of, I want to do this online thing, right? Online store. She says, but I have to figure out what to sell. Now, everybody, when you hear me say that, you probably should be over there saying, "Oh man, I know how Randy just jumped all over that." In the comment section, put something down there that what you think I said. And again, I might look at the timestamp and see if we can maybe reward somebody something, but don't hold me to it. I'm busy. So anyway, I says nope. I said wrong, wrong, in caps, wrong. So then first, and then I says, figure out what people are struggling with, have problems with, would like but can't have, are searching for online,
Mm-hmm.
are crying themselves to sleep over. are missing
Hmm.
deeply. So it's not figuring out what you want. Rather, give people what they are looking for.
That's
And then
it.
I sent her a webinar that I had literally just did on that subject matter,
Yeah.
right? It is that, y'all, that when we say don't start a business, start a hobby, we're probably going to, other than Alex and the butcher box guy, we're going to be the only people that say stuff like that. You got a hobby. Be like, yeah, but my hobby
Hmm.
pays very well.
Exactly.
That part.
Exactly.
So this hobby could be held up with your helpers. Like I just went and
Hmm.
got like, let one VA go, went and got a stateside VA to just handle one section, and it's a email section, right?
Hmm.
And if he does well with that one, then I got another tranche of emails that I'll have him handle that. Then
Hmm.
when my
Hmm.
other VA, I'm about to transition her from doing a lot of thumbnails and all that kind of stuff into, okay, here's my other LMS, learning management system. Run it,
Hmm. That's it.
run it,
And
right?
and the thing that drives all of that is there's enough money in those things already that you getting your time back is
Yes.
worth you paying somebody else.
Yeah, because I know, yeah, look, I teach email marketing. In fact, I just launched my email marketing course. It's a tiny course. I'm doing only tiny. We talked about that. Only
Hmm.
tiny courses. I think it's about an hour and 18 minutes, right? It is three modules. That's it, not
Hmm.
33. Because as soon as I
Hmm.
see 33, I'm out.
Yep.
I want to take this one, and I'm looking on, I'm like, dude, it's you 68. I'm not doing that. So anyway, I just launched a tiny course because I do it live, and I says, well, I need to
Hmm.
spread it out. I'm getting standing ovations. Oh my gosh, this is good stuff. But the importance of like emails, your assets, is that you can literally look at it, and the math works.
Hmm.
When you send to a list of, let's say 10,000, we talk about that 10,000 because we want to get you going, right? That of
Hmm.
10,000, you should be able to, here's the math, you should be able to derive $1 a month from everybody that's on your list. Now, of course, that's
Hmm.
going to average out. Some people,
If
you're
you
going to
got a
have
good
a
list, right?
25, 40% open rate, blah, 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 blah.
Hmm.
But the math is real. I can show you some receipts on that. I'm not going to do it today, but if you call me up and say, "Hey man, show me sheets. I think you're full. I think you're full of canal water." I'll show you. It tracks. This is how many were on the
Hmm.
list. This is how much every time I sent to the list we made. Period.
Hmm.
So I said, "Okay, cool. If you're hearing this, everybody, you should be thinking, well, I should be going out there getting leads, getting people on my list." Yes, you
Hmm.
should. Even before you launch. I love the one
Hmm.
man that Noah Kagan talks about. He says he was like working with Mint. I think it was no, not Mint. Yeah, which one? Not Mint Mobile. Oh, I can't think of it. It is a very, very popular financial company, but they were brand new. Anyway, so he said he went out and
Nerd
he
wallet.
no, no, it was the other big one. Oh,
Hmm.
I thought it started with M. But anyway, so he said
Okay.
he went out, he wanted that job, right? So the guy was like, "Get out of here. I'm good. Me and my little team are gonna run it." He says, "I tell you what, if I can go get X amount of dollars or X amount of people on a list that you'll have to launch to, can I
Hmm.
get the job?" And he did that. And they made so much money. So you start thinking about this list, this email list, right?
Hmm.
This little old thing. Alex Ramosi a couple of weeks ago was talking about it. He says, he had a company. He says, how's your list doing? The company was, making money. A lot of it was first time. It was, really good. So it was a trophy company. And he said, you know, if you just tighten up on your list, sending to it, he said, you'll make more money. He says, and the guy says, well, how is that? He says, because cost to acquire a customer, that cost goes away because they're already there.
Hmm.
You see what I mean? So That's
Yes,
that.
definitely. It's great. But again, going back to what we started at the beginning of this, right? And this is the stuff that a lot of times we get enamored with as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
All of the after you start making some money stuff. And what I would again go back to the drawing board with entrepreneurs with is sell $100. If what you sell is less than $10 a thing, sell $100 of that. If what you sell is less than $100 a thing, sell $1,000 of that. If what you sell is less than $1,000 a thing, sell $10,000 of it. Because when you've sold 10 as a hobby, now you actually have had enough reps where you
Yeah.
know what you need to systematize and what you need somebody to help you with and all the rest of that. But if what you're struggling to do is sell, the issue isn't you don't have a system.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny too that you say that because I remember when I had to take the pressure off myself because I wasn't I worked a company. I worked at a company. You know what I mean? So they
Mm-hmm.
had all that. And I wasn't, my one of my best buddies who started out the gate a hunter. He says,
Mm-hmm.
Bridge, you are not a hunter. He says, you are a farmer. Right now, at first I was offended by that. Right. I was like, well, yeah, I want to hunt. He says, bro, you ain't a hunter. You gonna get your butt snipped out here. But it taught me a lesson because I wasn't. I was used to stuff coming to me and I would take the proceeds from that, the seeds, and plant them and I would grow more. Now he appreciated that. He loved that in me. Right. But he says, man, he says, do not become, and I remember he said, don't become chum to the sharks out here. Right? He says, I'm a shark, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he was, and he still is to this day, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and it served him well. He's made lots of money. It's the boom and the bust kind of approach, right? So I said, I'm gonna adjust what I do. I'm gonna call myself a hunter sometimes, a farmer sometimes, and a trapper sometimes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And I call that a framework. So when teaching it, I'm saying I want you to know how to hunt. And when you're out hunting, I want you to look for some places you can plant some stuff. And then if
Mm-hmm.
there's some rabbits that's running around the field, you can't chase them all. That's like ideas. You can't chase them all. I said, but you can set traps for them. And I was so that has kind of been that approach. So then you take the approach that you go out there and as this hunter sometimes, this farmer sometimes, and this trapper sometimes, you'll never go hungry.
That's
That's the
it.
key. You'll never go hungry. And that reminds me, I got an article that I'm writing, y'all, and it's about Warren Buffett. There it is. I almost got away. So I'm gonna say Warren Buffett. Here's my proposed title. Warren Buffett is boring. Right. I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping that people go, hey, why are you talking about Warren that way?
Mm-hmm.
But Warren Buffett, when everybody else lost money, made $12 billion. He added $12
Mm-hmm.
billion to
With a
his
B.
net worth. Why? He kept cash. He kept, man, my money guy had been calling me. Hey, Randy, can send me $5,000? And I said, why? Basically, why? He knew that I like the whole cash. So he said, send me $5,000. I said, no, I'm going on vacation, man. I need to hang out with my lady. And then
Mm-hmm.
he's like, okay, man, I'm so glad I didn't. It would have been up in smoke. As my portfolio was up in smoke. But
Mm-hmm.
what that has done is because I'm a hunter, I got to go hunt more. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
farmer. I have been farming, so stuff has been coming up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as a trapper, I'm now creating the traps. You talk about the courses, talk about the webinar stuff. So this is what I want to say to y'all. And if you're brand new to the channel, if you're digging what we're doing, tell us. Tell us in the comment section. How's this landing with you? And of course, if you're new and you want to send this to somebody because they need to hear it, subscribe to the channel and send it to them and says, now tell me what you think. And y'all can have a discussion about it. And y'all both can come and have a discussion with us. Sometimes we do live stuff too. So, all right. So that's my invite to y'all. So it is like at this stage now, man, where I'm looking at some of the decisions I've made and I'm pat my good job. Because there was times where I could have just like, I'll go out and throw this in the market. I'm gonna buy all the Bitcoin or whatever.
Mhm.
Bought some, a little, stuck a toe in, kind of thing, right? So now, isn't that the same as let's just call stuff hobbies?
That's
Eh,
it.
yeah, I got
Until
this
it
little hobby.
earns more of your attention.
Yeah, how much is your hobby making? This guy said 600 million. I was like, say what? That's something else, bro. But he built it like that. He built it to make money from the beginning, and he says they've been profitable from the first box.
Hmm.
Alex was so funny. He says, well, he would tell some of his entrepreneurs, he says, instead of going and get money, he said, why don't you just go make money, sell stuff, go get customers. I tell my coaching clients that too. I says, let your business fund, let your customers fund your business.
Hmm.
And there's so many different ways you can, do that. And every single time I tell them to do just a specific way,
Hmm.
pre-sale, whatever you got, fulfill
Yeah.
so you don't get caught up in you're not frauding people
But you know what's funny?
and repeat.
I think that one of the things that's not talked about a lot with regard to this conversation, it just popped in my head while we were talking. Cause like I agree, I agree 100% um, with everything that you were just talking about. I've been preaching it for a while now. But one of the things that I think that doesn't get talked about a lot is when you're trying to launch something, to start something, all the rest of that, it takes a certain level of self-confidence. It takes a certain level of self-discipline and self-assuredness to not take the market saying, I don't want that right now,
Oh yeah.
as personal and somehow your vision or what you heard isn't right. And I remember it took me a while. Like it took me looking at the stories of Pharrell Williams and Colonel Sanders and some other people who had ideas that it took them 5, 10, J.K. Rowling, 5, 10 years before the idea actually popped. But when it popped, it was amazing. But the reason it didn't pop is because the market wasn't ready for it yet. The market
Hmm.
didn't know that it wanted it, but it wanted it.
Hmm.
It just didn't know it yet, right? You look at Pharrell Williams. Pharrell Williams in 1991 made a $10,000 check for writing a rap on a song because he was working with Teddy Riley, super producer Teddy Riley at the time,
Hmm.
who saw that he was good and he was awesome. They he had a job doing what he wanted to do, but he couldn't get traction. 5 years later, he's everybody's super producer.
Hmm.
And here's the key, and this is the funny thing. It's not as if he was making new beats. He was pulling stuff off the shelf that he had been making for the last 5 years that other people didn't hear, didn't think was hot. And
Oh,
now it was all the rage.
I got
It was
so
everything.
I got such a story. That part is hard to stick to itiveness when nobody's listening.
Yeah.
And I was bolstered by something somebody said. This was the guy over at Think Media, Sean Cannell. He says, take a different approach. Especially us, content creators. Sometimes we have stuff that gets like 6 views, and we're like, man, people don't want it, right?
Yeah.
So, I got a guy that's working on the channel that's gonna like, I'm gonna promote. Okay, all right, that's sure you are, buddy. But I'll check him out, right?
Hmm.
So he says, instead of thinking about views, and I even wrote it down. It was that good. He says, think about use your metric as how many videos you're putting out.
Hmm.
He says, he says, just cut everything else out. He said, because what happens is you go and do all this work, you're not getting any views, and you get deflated. And I've seen it with other people. You just get deflated. You be like, what? And I don't care who you are, you will feel like you just said. You'd be like, man, it's me. They didn't dig my message. But sometimes either A, you didn't package the message right. You
Hmm.
remember that story, the guy who bought these little I think it was 5 cent books or something like that. He recovered them. He put a new title on them, and they went same material. So that's
Yep.
we have that as an option and an opportunity. You got, several books back there. Those books,
Hmm.
man, all this stuff can be broken down into so many different things now, right?
Exactly.
My stepson, he just
Exactly.
got turned on to Google LM. Now, this guy's an engineer, but he's
Mm.
just finding out about, and he's going nuts. But I says, oh, bro, I'm past, I'm on to something else. But
Hmm.
the point
Hmm.
is that you start thinking, oh, what you can do there. Put in stuff, put in stuff, put in stuff, and then, query the stuff. Yeah. So if you had not produced anything, you got nothing to pull from.
That's it. You can't
That's
repurpose
the
if you
part
haven't
you
already
can, oh
purposed.
my gosh, I got whole courses on how to repurpose stuff
Hmm.
that I'm going and putting new skins on by way of name because I just bought this. Yeah, your boy been buying stuff. So I bought this, bro. I bought a book for $109. Yeah, me. I was like, I sat there with my credit card for about a half hour. So are you really gonna buy this book for if because I thought it was $82 or it was $82.
Hmm.
And then, it's gone up. So, I missed out. So, to her credit. Okay, but so I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy this book for you. But she did it in such a way, she didn't make the book a book. She made it a course,
Hmm.
kinda. She said, but people don't do courses, they don't finish. So she made it and she called it interactive. And then she also threw in some custom GPTs. Now watch
Hmm.
this. I'm sitting over here like, oh my gosh, $109 book. Right now I get to write it off, but that ain't the point.
Hmm.
$109, right? I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, I can buy a couple things. So I bought the book. And then in the very first usage of the custom GPT,
Hmm.
it gave me an output that I'm so happy with, right? I was annoyed. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. I was, working late, trying not to go watch TV. I was trying to, get off TV and all that, right? So I said, I'm gonna just
Hmm.
work. Got into it, and then I bought the book, and I was like, dang. So it came in course-y kind of fashion. I got a PDF, yes, of course, which I can now
Hmm.
plug in and pull, but the custom GPTs are what sold me. Now, again, you got a book back there, you turn it, and this is what I'm doing with our stuff too. I'm turning them into custom GPTs based on the what we talked about, right?
Nice.
And then that becomes a product that you can now bundle with something and put $109 price tag
Price
on it,
tag on. Yep.
right? And her
Yeah.
stuff is
That's
good, and she's in the
powerful.
copywriting space. So I've been looking at her emails. They're good.
Hmm.
They're great.
Hmm.
Not many people can get me with an email, right? Because I've seen it. I teach this stuff, and I'm like, but hers are good because it's based on. Get this. This is what she calls it, Rob. She ain't online. It's not on Amazon. None of that. She says, I help you create wallet opening words. And I was like,
Ooh,
oh, right? Wallet opening words. And I was
that's
like,
nice.
okay. And so then watching her emails, and she's like taking little things and going, this one did not convert well. Look at the title. This one repurposed, resaid, reskinned. Sometimes everybody, if you're out there and you know how you read stuff, and let's say you're a writer and you read something, it's so darn good, you just want to just stop writing because it
Hmm.
was that good. Now, her story, she had struggled with another company, had to shut it down. It didn't, wasn't a good deal, and she's back at it. And I was telling you, bro, I'm already happy
Wow. You
off
already
of
got your
one thing.
money's worth off
That's
of
right.
one thing.
And her little GPT is called Sparky. So of course we can make those. We can make those all day long
Yeah.
because guess what? We got material. So I'm going to
Hmm.
encourage y'all, get out there, start making material, start putting out and material content, whatever you want to call it. Start
Hmm.
creating. I tell every single person that I coach, I want you to be putting out some kind of, I don't care if it's just verbal. That's fine. Because now
Yeah.
I'll give you an example, Rob, something I did the other day. So I was teaching the class and I was teaching them about the perplexity. And I
Hmm.
noticed, I said, oh, wait a minute. I can take a picture of one of my little, cards. So I took a picture of one of my cards and I says, hey, what am I talking about on this card? And it says, well, it seems like you're. And then it was like, okay, it's on.
Now, yeah, because now you don't got to go back through your cars by yourself. You can just snap the
I can
pictures and
just
have
do
the
that,
sticker
and or I can, of course, like what I typically do is speak over them.
built.
And I'm going to encourage you all. This is the next tip. I want you to just take your ideas. Now, this is one of the things I got in one of my courses is you take your ideas wherever they exist. You
Hmm.
turn on Zoom. Everybody's pretty much got Zoom,
Hmm.
and you take the idea and you start recording on it.
Hmm.
Literally, just pick it up and say, "What's on this card?" Now, this again, y'all getting some gold here now. Y'all pick it up, pick it up, pick the gold up. This one says, "Become more through business." Now, I would expand on that. So, what I mean by coming more through business is that I believe you can use business principles to have a better life result. That's one of my things I got coming up, right? Using
Hmm.
business principles
Business
for
principles. Yeah.
XYZ. So, become more through business. That's a call to action to become more through business. And I says,
Yeah.
now, the main thing you don't want to go bankrupt. That's dead or in jail. That's bankrupt. I said, but even if you go to jail and you can get out, then guess what? You can restart,
There you
just like
go.
a business. So, doing that, showing people how to do that, man, has been just fascinating for me.
Yeah.
And hopefully, y'all are able to look at that and go, that one right there,
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
started.
There's a ton of stuff out there, and I think that bringing this all together. There's a ton of tools out there. There's a ton of systems out there that will help you to be better, help you to do amazing things. The biggest thing you want to pay attention to is when you're picking something, you got to be interested in it long enough to be willing to do it for free until it starts paying you. Number one. But number two, you've got to realize that it has to earn the right for you to expand it.
Mm, love that. Love that. Y'all hear that? We gotta repeat that.
It
It
has to earn the
earned the
right
right.
for you to expand it. For it to become more than a hobby, it has to show you that it deserves to be more than a hobby. How does it do that? Because it says, I'm willing to pay for more of your time than you're giving me, or more of somebody else's time than you're giving me right now.
I love that. And I preach that a lot. I ask somebody sometimes, hey, why you cheating on your business? They said, what are you talking about? I said, would you cheat on your wife, spouse? No. I says, and yet, and yet you are.
Mhm.
So what if the business says, I'm tired of you, I'm leaving.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
going into the idea mind of somebody or whatever. So that becomes one of those other things that you can pull from everybody. Hopefully
Yep.
you've got some value from this particular one. This one
Yeah.
today, we dropped a lot of gold nuggets. We talked a lot about, the starting of a business is one thing and all the bells and whistles and all that. But if you took a different approach, you might have a different perspective, right? I'll also like to do well, I'm just a scientist. I'm a business scientist,
Yeah.
right? So I try different things to see. And as a scientist, our job is to experiment.
Yes.
So it don't work, you go, oh, well, Formula 409 didn't work 408 times until it did. That's one of yours. That's
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
we've heard that
Yeah.
before, but you used to say that in class a lot.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So again, hopefully you got some value from this, everybody. We're going to be on the lookout for your comments, your concerns, your questions. We can answer some of them, right? And we'd be happy to. Rob and I may have something coming up for you. I don't know how busy he is, but I'm going to propose something for people that are already in business and want to, bring those businesses back. So, it's something that we had talked about a long time ago. I didn't have a chance to spin it up. We might just get it out there and we might, just test it a little bit and see if we can
Yeah.
help some people bring their businesses back. Bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. And we'll
Yeah.
use our tools and you'll have a couple things to do. We'll let you know when that's coming. Be on the lookout for it, everybody. We'll
Yeah.
see you on the next video. Rob, you want to leave them with something?
Hey, like just running it back one more time. Make your business earn the right for you to give it more of your time or more of somebody else's time because it's already demanding it by how much money it's bringing.
That's good stuff. All right, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.